you know how much oil you use in a day? Chances are not many of you know. And if you do, please see me after class because I'm actually really curious. No one can accurately say how much oil they're using in a day. To ask that question about a beginning of last century would have been pretty idiotic. They didn't use oil the way we do. As a matter of fact, automotive industry was just on the rise, so the idea of every home having its own car was ridiculous. But that's beginning of last century, 1900s, 1910s. With my speech, you're going to see how, throughout time, we have become more dependent on that tar that we know as oil. In the 1930s, there was several cities that enjoyed a golden age. One of them, or two of them actually, were not even in the United States. The first one was in Azerbaijan, Russia, a town called Baku. Discovered oil, massive amounts of oil, flooded fields even. No one really knew how much they had. They just knew they had a lot of it and it just kept coming. They loved it. That was in 1935. Fast forward just a few years to 1939. Just in South America, Lake Maricopa in Venezuela. Day of black rain was October 13th. 150 million barrels worth of oil shot out of a blowing oil field, raining black tar for a day and a half. 6 months later, right here in North America, McNamee, Texas, had a blowout. They discovered oil, so much so that it ruined their fields because they couldn't grow crops anymore. But they didn't need to. They had oil. 1930s and 40s and 50s, these towns enjoyed a golden age like they had never known. But if you were to ask anyone if they thought it would ever end, the mayor of McNamee, Texas said, "We never thought it would end because production just kept going up and we had no idea what we were getting into." Shortly around that time, a gentleman by the name of Rockefeller came around. He loved it. As a matter of fact, he's the one who coined the term black gold. It was his key to wealth. Went in, started putting his hand in every pie that he could get that had an oil industry in it. Created American Standard Oil. Granted, that was broken up later with the antitrust laws, but Standard Oil is still around today. Coined as the Seven Sisters, Chevron, BP, Shell, Exxon. You know them, and every single person here has probably used them within the last 72 hours, at least in some way, shape, or form. 1965. Group of countries that have small but prominent oil developments come together to form OPEC. Let's go up a few more years. 1973, Israel's in a war, Yom Kippur War, actually. North America and Europe decide they're going to help their ally. But this infantile organization feels so threatened that they cut off oil to both Western Europe and America. We're out of oil. McNamee, Texas, Lake Maricopa, Venezuela, these were our big fields. But they're drying out. Production's been going down. And now the people who say they have oil have cut it off. President Carter was actually in office then and came to the conclusion that America had a problem. As a matter of fact, his exact quote was, "We need to move away from dependency on oil, both foreign and domestic. We need to save our resources for our future generations." This was a great idea, and it was the first time anyone in America ever realized how much we used oil. Well, except for the oil industry themselves. They all kept moving away. In the 1970s, America realized we were an addict. We had become the heroin addict to oil. We couldn't live without it. Bringing us up to present day, 3 wars in the Gulf region. OPEC, US, these weren't political wars as much as anyone would like to say they were. They weren't wars based on economics. They were based on one thing, and that was oil. And the first Operation Gulf Storm and Gulf Shield, America didn't go over there to secure areas of weapons of mass destruction. They went over to go secure the oil fields themselves. Kind of a backdoor idea to get American oil industries into those fields so we can try and bypass OPEC. Granted, it didn't happen, but we still tried. Still got Operation Desert Fox, Operation Enduring Freedom. All of these have been surrounding the concept of our dependency on oil. This problem has really become too big for any one person to handle. Now that you see where our dependency came from, let's talk about what you can do. How many of you know how much oil is in this room? Do you know that there is any oil? Alkaline is different. Plastic bottles, casings for cameras, everything here, virtually everything made of plastic is oil. But it's up to us to realize what we use to try and step away from it. And granted, there's too much oil in the world to just completely cut it off. But we have to make the move. We have to make the choice. And we have to take the chance to make our future better.
Thank you.
I cannot see my mouse.
Thank you very much, Clayton.